Yo, what it do, guys? Welcome to the 30-minute podcast with your host, me, Tito. Yes, the name of the podcast, finally, after much deliberation, is the 30-minute podcast. This is the first episode of the podcast I'm filming, knowing that this is the name of the podcast. In previous recordings, I've been like, this podcast has no name. I wonder what the name is going to be. But now, we're going with the 30-minute podcast. Now, why that name, you may ask, before we dive into today's episode. I'm a stickler for time. That's a fun fact about me. I don't joke with time. I'm always on time for things. I believe in honoring people's time. I believe in honoring my own time. I call myself a good custodian of time. But I'm really big on time, right? And even with events, in an ideal world for me, it would be good to know when an event starts and stops. That would be perfect for me. And I guess that's why I love going to the movies, because the cinema is one of the few places or few social activities where you know the time something is going to start and pretty much when it's going to end. So the only other activity that I know that starts right smack dab on time is maybe church and maybe like airplanes or catching flights. But even flights get delayed. The point I'm making is, I love knowing when something starts and finishes. And with the name, the 30-minute podcast, you have an idea, at least, of how long the podcast is going to be. The name speaks for itself, or it's self-explanatory. That's the term. You know that you may not know what I'm going to talk about in the podcast, but you know that each episode is not going to last more than 30 minutes. Well, give or take. There will be times where episodes will exceed 30 minutes, I believe. But if that happens, I guess I'll let people know in advance. But I like the fact that you know what you're getting with a name like the 30-minute podcast. So yeah, I'm running with it. You guys should let me know what you think about the name in the comment section if you're watching this on YouTube, or send me a DM on Instagram or Twitter if you're listening to this podcast on an audio-only platform. Yes, guys, in today's episode of the podcast, I will be talking about the 5 things that I learned from my 30-day secular music fast. The 5 things I learned from my 30-day secular music fast. Now, like I said in a previous episode on this podcast, I'll be reacting to things that I watch on YouTube, or I'll be talking about faith-based stuff, or I'll just be talking about things on my mind. Today's video is a cross-section or a crossover of 2 things. A YouTube video that is also based on that was based on something faith-related, right? So Tim Ross's podcast, the Basement, on it he had Jackie Hill Perry on an episode titled Learning to Let Go. It was episode 52, and I think it was in April or something. I watched it, and it was a very impactful episode. It was the second episode of The Basement that I've ever watched. The first being the one that Tim Ross had with his wife, where they talked about how they met and all that good stuff. It was a good episode. So this was the second one I watched ever. And I noticed that Tim Ross, I don't know if he's like this with all other guests, but he talked a whole lot in this episode with Jackie Hill. He talked like 80 to 85% of the time. And that kind of pissed me off, because I was watching to hear what the famous, Jackie Hill Perry was going to say. But she was like, she didn't talk that much. And, Tim Ross was stealing the show most of the time. I didn't find that cool. Anyway, I digress. So on the episode, right, like I said, great episode. At some point around the 1 hour, 27-minute mark, Jackie Hill, puts out a challenge out there to people watching. And she says that, if you're interested, take on this challenge of giving up secular music for a month, for 30 days. And her reasoning behind it was how we just are so much more connected with the Holy Spirit and with God when we don't let certain things, and we just don't harbor certain things in our day-to-day, like secular music and, other things of the world. And she was really, elaborating on that point. I think her foundational scripture for it was Philippians 4:8, which says, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of a good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on those things." Now, to add verse 9 to it, verse 9 says, "Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and the God of peace shall be with you." And the point that Jackie Hill was making with this was how we should try more to reflect on the things of God and see the impact that that will make on our day-to-day lives. How, we will get the peace of God within us, and so many other benefits will, be added onto us if we meditate on the things of God. And with this challenge, she's suggesting that if you cut out, things that are secular, you will notice or you will see the change. So, let me play the clip. I've done all this talking. I should have just played the clip from the top so I could, take a sip of my drink. Let's listen to it, shall we? Here we go.
It's hard. I have a challenge for whoever's listening. I've been wanting to put this on social media. I ain't did it yet because I ain't feel like the Lord wanted me to. But I do now.
Great.
With this, which is I would challenge anybody to do a secular music fast for 30 days. And in that time, listen to gospel, listen to worship, listen to CCM, Hillsong, Bethel, I don't care. Listen to the people and be asking God to renew your mind. And I guarantee you, after a month, you will see a shift in your life with God. I guarantee you. That's it.
Challenge accepted.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I heard on the podcast. It really touched me, and I was like, okay, yeah, I could do this. Let me check it out. Let me try this 30-day challenge. It shouldn't be that hard, right? And it wasn't, to be honest. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, but the rewards of it all and the changes that I saw were really remarkable. And that's what I want to talk about in this episode of my podcast today. The 5 lessons I learned, or the 5 things I learned rather from my 30-day secular music fast. The first thing I learned from the fast, or from the fast actually, was I actually have more time than I think I do. Because with my walk with God and I've been wanting to develop my relationship with God, beyond what it had been at that point in time, in terms of, at a point recently it was just, prayers in the morning, Bible study, and just trying to live right. But I felt like there was so much more I could do, particularly in terms of prayer, worship, and just being in God's presence, quiet time, that type of thing. So that's pretty much also why I jumped on this challenge. And one thing that had stopped me from trying to develop my relationship with God was me thinking that I just didn't have enough time, that my day was just choked and, full, and I didn't have any more time to commit to the things of God. But with this challenge, when I stopped listening to secular music, I found that I had so much time. Secular music had occupied so much of my time on a day-to-day. When I'm in the shower, when I'm cooking, breakfast or dinner, when I'm commuting, I listen to secular music a lot. And once I stopped listening to secular music and I was just there in my car, I was like, okay, I can't listen to secular music. What do I do? Then, I'd listen to gospel music instead, or I just, meditate. And I have to say that, in the episode, as part of the challenge, Jackie did say it's not just a matter of cutting out secular music. Also read your Bible, also meditate, also try and communicate with, the Holy Spirit and all that good stuff. It's not just a matter of you dumping something. You have to find stuff to put in place of the things that you're letting go of, which is what I did. And like I said, I noticed that I have so much more time than I thought I did, because time is a funny thing, right? People say make time for things. I think you can't necessarily make time. You take time. Time is a fixed entity. Everybody has 24 hours in a day, So it's fixed. You can't make more time. But what you can do is to take time from something that already occupies time. I hope that made sense. So if, like I said, I commit like 30 minutes to maybe taking a walk or jogging, right? I may need to either add the listening to gospel music or to a message to that process of taking a walk, or cut the walk out entirely and replace it with the things of God, or meditating on word, or listening to the word, or listening to gospel music. So that was a big lesson for me, not just in terms of developing my relationship with God or learning to spend more time with the things of God, but just generally the time is there. It's just for me to decide what I'm going to take out or shift or remove that isn't really helping me, and replacing it with what actually does matter. So that was the first thing I learned from the fast. The second thing I learned was this 30-day music fast challenge. It started as a challenge, it became a fast, but it ended up being a consecration. Consecration essentially is when something is set apart primarily or often for religious reasons. Let me try and pull up a proper definition of consecration. Well, consecrate. Let's go with consecrate right here. To make or declare something sacred, to dedicate formally to a religious purpose. So yes, like I said, started as a challenge, became a fast, turned out being consecration. For a while, I'd been thinking of what more I could do to enhance my walk, my love walk, or my relationship with God. For the longest time, all I did on a day-to-day, except for Sundays, was 30 minutes of Bible study every morning. And even that, I wasn't entirely consistent with. There would be days or weeks, I should say. No, let me just say days. Sometimes weeks where that 30 minutes of Bible study, I wouldn't do it for whatever reason. Maybe because I woke up and I picked up my phone instead, or I had a deadline and something to send. So as soon as I got up, maybe I'd say a prayer, maybe I wouldn't, and then I instantly get on the laptop and start working. There have been times where I have missed that 30 minutes. But even at that, when you think of the big picture, let me use myself as an example. 24 hours in a day. I'm awake typically for 17 hours of those 24 hours. From 10 p.m. to like 6 a.m., I'm asleep. So that's 7 hours, 10. 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's say 11 to 6 a.m., right? That should be 7 hours. The remaining 17 hours, I'm awake. Out of my 17 conscious hours in the day, I was only giving 30 minutes to God. That's his official time in my life. I was not cool with that when I realized it. And I realized it when I was doing the 30-day fast, because I found myself thinking more about the things of God, reading the Bible more, even if it was just a couple of scriptures, listening to gospel music, playing worship music, and actually worshiping God. I was spending so much more time in God's presence and meditating and thinking of the things concerning God and concerning edification, just like Philippians 4:8 said. And I noticed that, I was creating this space for God in my life, which before the challenge was just 30 minutes a day, and of which like I said, I wasn't always consistent with those 30 minutes. And when you look at it percentage-wise, 30 minutes out of 17 hours in a day is actually, I think, less than 1%. I was officially giving God, prior to the 30-day challenge, less than 1% of my day. So when I realized this during the challenge, I was like, whoa, once this challenge is over, this cannot continue. I need to consecrate more things, more of my life, more of my time to God, like officially, not unofficially, not informally, like, listening to gospel music in the car. I need to do more. And I found that I actually could do more. But the challenge, it just opened up that whole thing, opened up my mind to the whole consecration thing, and let me know that I really do need to consecrate more of my life and my time towards the things of God. The third thing I learned was getting closer to God is a lifestyle choice, or it involves lifestyle changes. Once again, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who has experienced this in some way, shape, or form. Lots of people say they want to get closer to God. They want to develop their relationship with God and, with Jesus and with the Holy Spirit, but they find it tough. That's because we think it's like many things in life. We think it will just happen automatically, or we can pray it into existence. I'm not saying that that's impossible, but many times one needs to be a lot more practical with it. It's like wanting to get in shape. You make lifestyle changes when you want to get in shape, by going to the gym, by changing your diet, by opening your fridge, getting rid of the things that are not good for your diet, going to the supermarket and buying the kind of foods that would actually aid your diet and you getting in shape and all that. With regards to going to the gym or working out, your fitness mat, you need to bring it out from, the top of your wardrobe or the back of your door, put it somewhere more visible where you can, reach out for it more easily, more accessibly, so that you can commit to doing the daily workouts. lifestyle changes here and there, small things, but things that you commit to do on a daily basis. And at the end of the day, this 30-day challenge was essentially a lifestyle change, or it was a lifestyle choice, because so many things about my lifestyle changed within those 30 days. I realized that actually it was working. The listening to the gospel music, reading the Bible more, taking moments between moments to meditate on the word, to read the word, to fellowship with the Holy Spirit, and to just see things differently. And by moments between moments, it's things like cooking your breakfast, right? Because you leave your room, you go to the kitchen to eat, right? Between when you leave your room or you stop what you're doing to go and prepare something to eat, that's like maybe 30 minutes. And those 30 minutes can easily go unaccounted for. But while you're cooking your breakfast or doing whatever you're doing, heading to the kitchen, whatever, if you're listening to gospel music or a message at that point, it counts. The points count. You are edifying your spirit. So I hope all this makes sense. The conscious lifestyle changes and choices, I cannot overemphasize how important they are in helping you develop a better relationship with God. The next thing I learned from my 30-day secular music fast was that my mental outlook changed. The way I viewed life, it wasn't too drastic, especially at the beginning, but I wasn't harboring or entertaining negative thoughts, unclean and impure thoughts. Because I wasn't listening to lots of secular music is very sensual, sexual, raunchy and whatnot. Because I wasn't entertaining that stuff, even like with visuals as well. Because remember, this is consecration. You're not just dropping secular music. You're trying to get closer to the Holy Spirit and to fellowship with God more. So things that do not enable that or let that freely flow, you find that you cut them off when you do a 30-day secular music fast. So my thoughts were a lot purer. I was thinking about more positive things, more edifying things. I was less negative. I felt lighter. And it became evident. And when you're doing these things, you notice the changes. You're like, especially not entertaining unclean and impure thoughts that easily just creep into your mind and that you think you just harbor them because they'll come and they'll go. But when you're doing a fast like this and you're trying to get closer to God, as soon as they come in, you like shut the door and you chase them out. And doing that repeatedly and consistently, it becomes a habit of sorts. And my mind was just a more fertile, a more lush, more, a more fruitful environment for things for the spirit and just for more positive thinking and for a better outlook on life. I don't know. It makes sense. You get it, but you won't really get it unless you do this kind of challenge or unless you've done a fast in some way as well. You'll notice how things change within yourself. And the final thing that I learned from my 30-day secular music fast, and this one's a bit funny. I learned, let me take a sip of my drink first to feeling a bit parched. I learned secular music had a very strong grip on my life prior to this fast. For example, there was one Saturday, it was raining, right? I came to make my breakfast. I was frying eggs, right? Now I wasn't even listening to it on my headphones. I think I was just singing it. No, I was listening to it I wasn't listening to it because if I was listening to it on my headphones, I wouldn't have sang the secular song that I ended up singing. I was singing Kirk Franklin's, it was either, I'll write it on the screen, My Life, My All, I forget the title. It was either that or Jesus, You're My Everything. So I was singing that while frying my eggs. It was raining outside. And when it's rainy outside, it's weather for two type of vibe, right? I was trying not to let that creep into my mind because, hey, I'm fasting, right? Pure thoughts. So I was singing the Kirk Franklin song, frying the eggs, and I stopped for a couple of seconds, like maybe to do something, maybe to season the eggs or something. And then the next thing I hear myself singing was, I hear you calling, here I come, baby, to save you. Oh, R. Kelly's Your Body Is Calling. I stopped myself. I was like, whoa, What is that? Spirit of R. Kelly, I bind thee. Where is that coming from? I was just singing Kirk Franklin. Where is R. Kelly coming from? It shocked me. It shocked me. It was because of like the environment and the rain outside, I do believe. But what surprised me was what I learned from that experience too was how my default, when my mind is like in like blank mode and like a screensaver wants to come on musically, I default to secular music. And I noticed throughout the 30-day fast that there are some regular customers, in my mind, in terms of secular music, that just pop up out of nowhere. Well, honestly, out of years and years of listening to secular music. My point is, there are songs that are like screensavers in my mind. When my mind is like on downtime, there's nothing going through my mind, and I just want to sing something. Like when you're in the elevator and elevator music is playing, secular music plays. And some really nasty ones too. So I noticed that that's the default that my mind goes to, secular music. And I thought, okay, so are there any gospel songs or edifying songs that I default to when my mind is like in neutral mode? I couldn't think of any. And that bothered me. I was not comfortable with that, I do have to say. And I was like, yeah, this is definitely a problem. My default, my go-to cannot be music that does not edify my spirit and that does not worship God. I was not comfortable with that. I really wasn't. And that really did show the effect that decades, honestly, of, secular music, rap, hip hop, R&B, stuff that I like. I can't lie. I really like that type of music, rap and R&B particularly. Listening to that stuff for so long, it's gotten on the inside, it's gotten on the subconscious. So my point is, the plan is to get gospel music on the inside, to have it as the default as well, at least to have some gospel songs as my default as well, so that I don't default to raunchy R&B songs. Those were the 5 things, as we get close to 30 minutes, that I learned from my 30-day secular music fast. It really was eye-opening. Let me recap them real quick. I have more time than I think. That was the first thing I learned. The second thing being, it starts as a challenge, becomes a fast, ends up as being consecration. The third thing was getting close to God is a lifestyle choice. That's the third thing. The fourth thing, my mental outlook changed during this fast. And the fifth thing was that I learned that secular music really did have a grip on my mind, and I'm really trying to loosen that grip right now. So those are the 5 things I learned from the secular music fast. I really encourage you to try it if you've ever thought of trying such, or if you're looking for a way to consecrate. I hope I'm saying that right. Consecrate a part of your life or your day or something to God. I recommend rather a 30-day music fast. And for me, it was a big deal because I really love music. I love secular music. I cannot lie. So me giving it up was a bit of a big deal for me, and I guess that's why it made as much of an impact and had as much of a positive effect on my life as it did. Now, where do things stand currently? I woke up at 12 midnight because it ended up, so I went on the fast from the 15th of May, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, to the 15th of June. On midnight of the 16th of June, I shouldn't have done it, but I went ham. I listened to so many raunchy, nasty, like terrible R&B and hip hop songs that night because I felt so starved, and I wanted to reward myself. I know I did the wrong thing. Lots of people, because I posted it on my stories. I posted some of the music that I was listening to on my stories. A lot of friends were saying, Tito, this is not the way to go about it. Well, they are kind of defeating the point of your fast and all that. My namesake Eniola, who is based abroad, she said, she was like, I see what you're doing, but it's not going to be the same. Secular music is not going to be the same for you, and you're going to regret this choice, more or less. I replied her like yeah, it's giving prodigal son, but I'm still going to do it. I did it, and I saw her point. I think it didn't even last 24 hours. I was back to listening to gospel songs. I did feel a bit guilty while listening to all those secular songs, and where things stand now is that I do not see secular music the same. I know consciously that it now does not edify my spirit. It does not glorify God. So really, what's the point? I still do listen to secular music, but now I listen to a whole lot more gospel music, and I try and take those moments to also worship, to meditate, to think more. Now, gospel music is not just gospel music. It's about fellowshipping with God. It's about seizing the moment to worship God as well. I discovered, and shout out to everyone who recommended gospel songs to me during this fast. Because that was part of the issue. I don't know that many gospel songs, at least new ones. In terms of gospel music, I'm from the era of like Kirk Franklin, CC Winans, Marvin Sapp, Donnie McClurkin, Don Moen. Those are the gospel songs that I listen to. So I don't know that many contemporary or new age ones. Maybe I didn't know that many gospel songs from like 2010 to date. But lots of people recommended lots of gospel songs to me. I discovered so many, and it was just an eye-opening experience. So the point I'm making is I have a new outlook or a new relationship with gospel music, and I tie it to my relationship with God. It's not just about the music now. It's about me taking the moment to edify my spirit with the music, but to also worship God. So, and I'm trying to try and do more. It's not even 50-50 now in terms of the kind of music I consume. Maybe it's like 70-30, 60-40, but the plan is to flip it around, to have gospel music be like the 70% of the music I listen to, while secular is like the 30%. It was an eye-opening experience. I cannot overemphasize how impactful it was, and I can't recommend it enough. I think you guys should try it if you haven't tried it before. Do the 30 days. Don't just cancel out secular music. If you haven't done it before, don't just cancel out secular music. Cancel it out, but also fill that time and fill your days also with, like Jackie Hill said in the podcast, with the word, fellowshipping with God, meditating in the spirit and communicating with the spirit and reading the Bible. All those things do matter, and like she said, you'll be surprised at how your outlook will change, how your relationship with God will change, and how your spirit will change. So that's it, guys. I think I've exceeded, judging by the software, I've exceeded 30 minutes. It's time for me to go. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I really hope it's blessed you. I hope you're encouraged. And I hope you've learned something, Let me know if you've done this kind of fast before. If you currently only listen to gospel music, just let me know anything you want to let me know in the comment section down below if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, you're listening to this on an audio-only platform, then feel free to send me a DM. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please remember to rate this podcast 5 stars only. I don't even really know what that means, but as somebody who is new to podcasting, I feel like it's like a call to action that I should be saying at the end of my podcast. So please rate this podcast 5 stars only. Like this video if you're watching it on YouTube by clicking on the like button, and subscribe to my channel as well by clicking on the black subscribe button. And I will see you guys real soon. Let me know also what you think about this name that I've chosen to give the podcast, the 30-minute podcast. Do you like it? Does it stick? Let me know. Any way you want to choose to let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've been blessed. Remain in God if you are in God. If you're not in God, well, try and get with the program and try Jesus, as they used to say back in the day. Thanks so much for the final time, guys. I will catch you in the next one. Take care.